Attendu que le Canada est fondé sur des principes qui reconnaissent la suprématie de Dieu et la primauté du droit, prenons un moment de réflexion personnelle. Whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, let us take a moment of personal reflection.
Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you. Item 4, additions, deletions, or amendments. We have an addition under item 12 for notice of motion for myself and Councillor Tarnowski. Any other items to add? Councillor Tarnowski?
Thank you. I would like to add 2 items. The first item would be to discuss the sign bylaw. You
Okay.
want more detail on that, or is that?
Nope, 17A, Councillor Tarnowski for sign bylaw, and item B
And item B, just a discussion on Boundary Road.
on Boundary Road. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additions? No? Need an adoption of the agenda, motion to approve the agenda as amended. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Conseiller Bisson, seconded by Councillor Tarnowski. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 6, disclosure of pecuniary interest. I see none. Item 7, adoption of minutes of the regular council minutes of December 17th, 2018. Motion to approve the following minutes as presented. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Conseiller Larrain, seconded by Councillor Saucier. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Item 8, presentations. We have none. Item 9, delegation petitions. Delegation presented by Denis Vanier and Tony Corriveau on behalf of Eastern Ontario Snowmobile Club, EOSC. Request for right-of-way on the bike path from Saint-Pierre to the industrial project. Monsieur Vanier puis Monsieur Corriveau, je vous invite à venir au Lutrin.
Au Lutrin, là?
Au Lutrin, oui.
J'ai une bonne voix, je suis capable de...
Correct, mais à ce manière-là, tu vas de sa caméra
OK,
aussi.
OK. Je vais juste me présenter. Je suis Denis Vanier. J'ai été 35 ans ici dans le village comme bénévolat avec les Chevaliers de Colomb. J'étais encore membre. Chevaliers de Colomb, les 72 d'Embrun, le centre récréatif dans le temps. C'est juste qu'il y a du monde qui ne me connaisse pas. Là. Je vais juste me présenter. Puis je suis ici au nom du Club motoneige de l'Est Ontario qui fait partie de Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Club. On veut avoir, si vous pouvez nous donner accès à traverser la piste cyclable proche de rang Saint-Guillaume. Là, on a su au travers des semaines que la construction, ça va, à un moment donné, ça va se faire sur le long de la piste cyclable, proche de Notre-Dame, si vous voulez, entre Notre-Dame et Saint-Pierre. Fait que c'est ça. Puis je vais vous laisser John, il va vous faire une représentation. Des motoneiges, qu'est-ce que ça représente, puis l'économie que ça peut amener dans notre beau village.
Great.
Merci.
Parfait. Monsieur Van Lane, how are you?
Ça va très bien.
Good.
Monsieur le maire, membres du conseil, je vous remercie pour nous avoir accordé ce temps ce soir. Je vais me présenter. Je suis nouvellement appointé Volunteer Coordinator, coordinateur des volontaires avec le club de motoneige, qui inclut 56 volontaires et 11 emplois à temps plein. I'll tell you a little bit about our sport. Je vais vous expliquer un petit peu à propos de la motoneige pour ceux qui ne sont pas aussi bien informés que les autres. Le gouvernement provincial a déclaré que la motoneige est l'expérience récréative hivernale numéro 1 en Ontario. The provincial government says that snowmobiling Ontario is the number one winter recreation experience. Le développement économique est partiellement basé sur le tourisme dans Prescott Russell. Nous avons la possibilité de synchroniser davantage de nos forces et atouts pour aider les commerçants locaux à tirer avantage des gens avec nos beaux attraits uniques de la région, incluant le sentier récréatif d'Embrun, qui est une installation peu coûteuse et bénéficiant de plusieurs segments différents. The economic development of Prescott Russell would include tourism, and we are here to synchronize our forces to take advantage of the possibilities that our region offers. This would bring a strong revenue to our local commerce. The Russell Bike Path is a natural candidate for this increased tourism in our municipality and snowmobiling would provide an immediate impact by increasing both visitors and revenue that we are not capturing at this time. Like Denis just explained, the actual bike path of the proposed that you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, is not the option that we're going to ask for tonight. We're going to give you a bit of a revised route that would have only request to cross the bike path close to Campbell Falls. The snowmobile trails, les sentiers de Prescott Russell font partie des sentiers interprovinciaux gérés par le CMEO, ont un impact économique de 85 millions de dollars dans l'est de l'Ontario, incluant 900 emplois à temps plein. 8,8 millions de motoneiges neuves et usagées sont vendus annuellement dans notre région seule. The Prescott Russell snowmobile trails are part of the interprovincial trail system for the OFSC, and in that the OFSC manages, and that the economic impact of $95 million in Eastern Ontario alone, and this includes 900 full-time jobs. New and used snowmobile sales account for $8.5 million in our region alone. Les revenus de motoneige créent une fort revenu durant la saison qui est considérée morte ou ralentie pour notre région. Snowmobile revenue would be a positive impact in what is usually known as a slow season in our region. Le CMEO est responsable pour tenir la signalisation à date et débroussailler automatiquement à chaque fois que le passage de la surfaceuse. The OFSC is responsible for keeping all of the signage up to date and clearing the brush automatically each time of the passing of the group. District 1, dont nous faisons partie, a 3900 km de sentiers et on est classé numéro 2 en Ontario. District 1 includes 3,900 kilometers of snowmobile trails, and we are considered the second largest district in Ontario. Our club, like I mentioned before, notre club, a 56 volontaires et 11 employés pour maintenir notre système de sentiers. Our club alone includes 56 volunteers and 11 employees to maintain our 400 kilometers of trail in our system. Alors, nous sommes ici en grand nombre pour faire la demande officielle d'adopter l'option, on enlève l'option numéro 1, on y va avec l'option numéro 2, qu'on vous propose pour avoir accès aux commerçants suivants. Le Gas Bar Co-op Gas Station, Tim Hortons, Brasserie La Tissuque de Brou, Boston Pizza, Café Expérience Smoothie Bar, Brasserie Étienne Brûlé, Loisel Sport, Banque CIBC et la Caisse populaire Nouvelle-Horizon. So to have the snowmobile, je vais demander à Denis de venir vous expliquer ou d'expliquer un petit peu Par où tu voudrais passer pour ton adoption?
Le sentier, comme c'est là, il passe proche des pompiers. Il s'en va vers le projet, la rue de la Madeleine, si on veut. Là, il passerait south, will continue south on where the fireman hall. Continue south there, cross Saint-Pierre, continue there, past the little bridge, and go inside with the landowners the accepted to pass at the Campbell Pool right there to cross the path right there.
Ok. So, juste clarifier, originalement, vous parlez de Saint-Pierre tout le long de la piste, mais là, vous regardez juste à traverser la piste à un endroit.
C'est ça, à Campbell Pool, où ils ont débroussé pour passer de l'hydro ou autre chose. Je sais
Ok.
pas dans quel sens.
Les services, oui. OK. OK, parfait. Là, vous cherchez dessus pour cette année ou c'est juste pour l'année prochaine que vous cherchez cette...
C'est possible de le faire cette année. La saison est quand même assez avancée.
Oui.
Mais avec la signalisation qui serait un petit peu plus facile, en étant donné qu'on ne suit pas la trail, la piste cyclable, ça pourrait se faire très bien cette année. Il faudrait mettre peut-être des blocs pour empêcher les motoneiges d'embarquer sur la piste cyclable. Mais c'est quelque chose qu'on peut envisager avec le club, avec le président qui est ici ce soir, qui nous donne son support et son mari, qui est vice-président. Alors, on a des bonnes chances de pouvoir le faire cette année. On a les volontaires qui sont prêts à faire le travail. Il nous reste à savoir que si on a toutes les enseignes en place et la possibilité de faire ça d'une façon sécurisée.
Vous avez eu des discussions couramment avec l'administration, d'après que j'ai compris, c'est ça? Il y a eu des discussions au début de conversation pour commencer. Évidemment, je ne sais pas si les membres du conseil seraient corrects avec ça. Moi, j'aimerais qu'on ait un rapport, une recommandation de l'administration, puis voir c'est quoi les options possibles pour essayer d'envisager d'être capable de réussir dans ce projet-là. Y a-t-il des questions du membre du conseil? Conseiller Lorrain?
I see it as a three area economic development, recreation, and bylaw, obviously, and roads actually four. So, and who controls what? One of the things I need to understand as well is if you're going to cross the path, who has the right of way? Because that's a key issue. Because if you're coming across and all of a sudden you're zipping right over right over the bike path, and there's people on doing some skiing or something like that, or walking even, who has the right of way?
The right of way will be always the walkers and the ski de fond. The ski.
Mais c'est ça que je veux
C'est
pas
ça.
certain.
There would be 20 km/h signs posted 100 meters before the crossing itself, with a stop sign as well, a warning that a stop sign is coming, with a stop sign, and the right of way is always for automobiles, snowmobiles.
Stop sign on each side.
On each side. So
Semblable à d'autres traverses.
Pre-stop. We have a guide that we have to follow for MTO.
Oui.
We have a
Conseiller Turnowski?
Alors, moi, ce que je pense, c'est un petit peu comme dans la forêt La Rose. Il y a une piste, une assez grosse piste de ski qui passe, puis en ski de fond, il y a une traversée là. Mais il n'y a pas de stop là. Donc, nous autres, c'est comme un.
Les autres ont des stops. Là.
Ouais.
Mais là, ça serait différent. là.
Ok.
C'est complètement différent. là.
Mais fait que vous êtes habitués à avoir des stops là.
C'est ça. Multi-use trail, comme à Bentley Hill, très bon exemple.
On a une pancarte qui dit multi-use shared trail.
Mais pour ce cas-ci, c'est juste pour traverser.
C'est ça.
Oui.
Exact.
Merci.
Councillor Saucier?
My understanding of it, look, Rose Forest is it is separated, because I use it there a lot, so you never come across a snowmobile when you're cross-country skiing.
You know, you cross, a couple of paths, you cross the lane kind of drive. Yeah.
Okay. I guess, I mean, I understand the importance of the sport, and it's all Canadian and everything, and I guess my biggest concern is safety. You know, people are out trying to be quiet and enjoying their cross-country skiing or walking their dog, you know, and then a dog could get, I know he's on leash, but I'm just a little concerned about because it's supposed to be non-motorized trail, on it. There's actually signs posted, no motorized vehicles. So I'm just, you know, I'm a little concerned, but I guess I would like to direct it to Madame Guittard, if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, we can have a discussion now, but as I said, I think we should have a report back to council that would give everybody's opinion. I mean, we can have a conversation here for an hour, but I don't think we'll come to an understanding or pass anything this evening. This way, if we can have a recommendation from the staff and they all get together, have a conversation, then we'll be in a better position to try and move this forward. André?
C'est ça, étant propriétaire des terrains contre la piste cyclable pour une partie, c'est pour ça que j'ai parlé à M. Vanier avant, que si la municipalité donnait la permission de traverser, que ce soit à Campbell Ford, à Campbell Pool ou à côté des polices, parce que là aussi ça a été ouvert pour avoir les services. C'est que moi, vous avez ma permission pour le faire, puis que surtout à cette heure, les clôtures sont enlevées, puis je cultive plus de foin. Et puis là, de cette manière-là, parce que de passer de sa piste, où il va y avoir à chaque bord des maisons, je sais que c'est du trouble waiting to happen. Mais si il donne la permission, c'est pour ça que moi, je leur ai donné la permission qu'on va avoir les papiers à remplir, mais que pour pouvoir rentrer, il n'y aura pas de problème.
Councillor Sosi, if you feel that noise could be an issue, maybe to be next to the police station might be a more attractive option for you guys to keep people aware that there is enforcement around.
Est-ce que vous avez eu permission comme un propriétaire vient juste vous donner permission, mais est-ce que vous avez déjà eu permission des autres propriétaires?
Oui.
OK, ça fait avancer le dossier.
C'est signé, ils sont assurés
OK.
tout au travers de la fédération.
OK, parfait. D'autres commentaires, questions? So, je pense que si l'administration, vous êtes à l'aise d'être capable de regarder les options. Monsieur Leduc?
Madame du Conseil, donc il était question de différents commerces comme Étienne Boulay, la Caisse populaire ou autres, qui ne sont pas à la facile d'accès par en arrière ici. Donc je vous pose la question, est-ce qu'on doit adresser cette question-là ou non?
Ben, si je m'en rappelle bien, vous pouvez me corriger. Snowmobile, essentiellement, ils ont droit n'importe où qu'un véhicule, il a droit, right? So, il peut passer sa rue dans certaines sections. C'est pas comme les 4 roues, que les 4 roues c'est spécifique, but in the MTO, it actually, snowmobiles are allowed pretty much where vehicles are
They're
allowed.
under the motorized.
The MTO, Highway Traffic Act.
Yeah, the highway, I'm Kimberly Melbourne, the president of the Snowmobile Club. Under the Highway Traffic Act, we have rules that we follow. And if there aren't specific paths dedicated to the snowmobile vehicles, then they have to go on all of the roads, which they are allowed unless there's a specific bylaw passed to keep us off. And so it is definitely a safety concern, but I see it on the other side as if they have specific access into your town, they're gonna come, they're gonna bring their business, and they're gonna respect the rules.
L'autre question, Monsieur Leduc, I think it's more concentrating on ça traverse that area de piste ou qui veulent traverser. Je pense que c'est vraiment là qu'on concentre la discussion à ce point-ci. D'autres questions, commentaires, membres du conseil? L'administration, tout est beau, Monsieur Leduc? OK, parfait. Y avait-tu quelque chose d'autre à ajouter? Je pense qu'on est prêt à avoir la discussion puis à essayer de trouver les meilleures options possibles pour qu'on puisse satisfaire votre demande.
Juste côté temps, pour nous, comme la saison avance, évidemment, elle fait juste commencer dans le secteur parce qu'on a finalement de la neige.
Oui,
Mais,
ouais, tu as eu de la neige en plus.
C'est pour pouvoir mettre tout en place, ça prend quand même des démarches qu'on doit organiser.
Monsieur Leduc, c'est-tu réaliste pour avoir quelque chose dans 2 semaines? Notre prochaine réunion de conseil, c'est dans 2 semaines. N'oubliez pas, on est en pleine saison de budget. C'est vraiment là où il y a une attention à aller, là, Monsieur Leduc.
Monsieur le maire, vous avez mentionné 5 rapports de 4 départements. Il y a des absences pour les conférences la semaine prochaine. Il y a plein de choses. Ça peut être difficile pour le 4, mais je ne sais pas.
On peut faire notre possible, mais sinon, définitivement pour la 2e réunion au mois de février. OK, so, au pire, ça va aller à la 2e réunion dans 4 semaines d'ici.
May I say something?
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you. Family weekend is free snowmobiling on our trails. So if somebody has not purchased a snowmobile pass, they're coming from Quebec purchase for a few machines, they can bring all of their machines out and everybody comes to the trails for family day weekend. So I understand the time constraints.
Yeah.
However, if we could time it previous to that, then.
Well, our second meeting in February falls on the 19th, the day after
Okay,
Family Day.
c'est
So
dommage, okay.
we'll do our best, but like we said, we have a conference and budget talks going on right now in the next week and a half, so on va faire notre possible.
OK.
Parfait?
OK, merci.
Merci beaucoup pour votre temps. Move on to item 10, consent items. Motion that all items listed under consent items be received as presented. Item A, minutes of the Limoges Citizens Committee of December 11, 2018. And item B, minutes of the Township of Russell Public Board, November 29, 2018. Need a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councilor Tonoski, seconded by Conseiller Brisson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Move on to item 11, reports from departments and council committees. Item A, retail markets demand study, report EcoDev 01-2019. That council receives report EcoDev 01-2019 for information dated January 21st, 2019. Monsieur Leduc, Madame Tremblay, I believe we have a guest and a presentation.
Donc, bonsoir, mon conseil. Le département de développement économique est très heureux et heureuse de vous présenter le rapport de ce soir. This is a draft report, so just we're here to present you the findings of the report, and if you have comments, you're more than welcome, and then we'll address those comments into the report. Donc, le développement commercial est un facteur clé pour le développement économique, de la base de l'emploi, de la durabilité économique et de la prospérité de la municipalité de Russell. Nous avons effectué une étude de marché de la demande de détail qui était nécessaire afin de nécessiter d'entretenir du développement économique et de nous assurer que nous attirons des entreprises cibles qui répondent aux besoins de notre communauté. Avec l'arrivée de Amazon aussi, on a pris en considération l'impact que cette entreprise-là aurait sur le développement économique de la municipalité de Russell. Donc, on essaie le plus possible d'être proactif afin d'être en mesure de pouvoir les accueillir, les nouveaux résidents, les nouvelles entreprises qui vont être créées basées sur cette entreprise-là. Donc, nous avons retenu la compagnie Short Tanner & Associates. Juste pour une petite parenthèse, c'est la même compagnie qui avait fait le market analysis en 2006 pour la Plaza de l'Est, les gens qui se souviennent. Donc, avec cette market analysis-là que j'ai retrouvée, qui avait été faite en 2006, nous avons retenu les services de M. Barry Nabishin, qui est aussi la personne qui avait fait ce market analysis-là en 2006. Donc, Barry will introduce the finding in the report. Like I said, it's a draft report, so we'll be welcoming all the comments from members of council and also from the public concerning that report.
Okay. Merci, Madame Tremblay. Barry, welcome.
Merci. Bonsoir à tout le monde. Premièrement, j'aimerais m'excuser parce que mon français n'est pas assez bien pour vous présenter en français, alors je vais parler en anglais.
Okay. Just make sure, le micro est allumé. Oui, okay.
So, okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Deuxièmement, I would like to thank Ms. Tremblay. She's phenomenally responsible, unbelievably good person to work with. It has been a pleasure. There were a number of evenings after 6 o'clock, I sent her emails. I was hoping that she would get back to me the next morning. She returned the same night, and once after 9 o'clock. So that's, the dedication is wonderful. You have a great person working for you. I would first like to talk to you about a few trends in the retail industry and then talk specifically about Russell Township. The retail trade is very competitive and it's often changing, and it's very difficult to be successful in the retail industry. People have got to be professional, they have to know what they are doing. It's not that easy to open a store and think that everything will be all right. And the retail industry is also generally not well enough recognized by governments and by municipalities. They pay a great deal of tax and they employ many people, part and full-time. It's really a very major thing. When the retail industry in an area is healthy, it increases property values. it also increases security and safety, and also contributes to good quality of life. On the contrary, when you walk in a place where there's a lot of vacancy, stores close early, stores are not renovated, you just don't want to be there. And when the people are not there, thieves and criminals find it good. One of the challenges for the retail industry is online shopping. However, online shopping is getting too much unnecessary attention. In Canada, including in Ottawa, and I am assuming here, only 5%, 5 cents of every dollar is spent on online shopping. But it gets a lot of attention. It is also true that it's growing very rapidly. It's growing by double digit every year. However, when they have 5% of the market, if they increase by 10%, that means it will be 5.5%. And also, it's really things like books, camera, computer, things that you do not need to see, to feel, to touch. Those are the things that are mostly bought online, although it's expanding. What is growing is, in terms of food, for example, quality, freshness, organic products. These are the products that are being increasingly becoming popular, and they command a great deal of market. I don't know to what extent you know about Farm Boy. It's a local business. Now they have 26 very highly successful supermarkets, and they're amongst the store that offers the best quality and the freshest thing. And it's not because they are my client, they have never given me work, but what they have done is very good, and they're really successful. Two other extremes in the retail industry are increasingly becoming popular and increasing their sales. One is the high-end stores such as Kate Spade, Michael Kors, Tiffany, Nordstrom, etc. They are increasing their share because people are having more income in general, and they like to treat themselves. On the other extreme, stores like Winners, Walmart, Costco, they also are increasing their market share. So the two extremes are increasingly becoming more and more successful, capturing more market share from the middle. The stores that offer average or traditional quality, medium price, medium quality, those are the ones that are losing market share. These are general commentaries that are applicable everywhere here. Now, talking about the study that we have done for Russell Township, as it was mentioned, it is a draft. So we welcome your comments and changes, and then we'll finalize it. I would now like to present you 5 PowerPoint slides, if I may. The first one, which is population. Basically, I'm going to talk about the market. The success of retail businesses depends on how strong their market is. The township of Russell, its 2016 population was 16,520. What is important is that in the previous 5 years, it increased by 1.7% a year. The reason 1.7% is important is that economists and planners consider an average annual growth of 1% to be good, to be economically good and strong. So Russell Township has exceeded that. The United Counties of Prescott and Russell has not. Its growth was only 0.9%. A few other things. The average or the median age of the Russell Township population was 40.6 years. For the county, it was 44.3%. Basically, what we expect to happen in the coming years is that Russell Township's population is going to get younger because they're attracting mostly families, whereas the county's population is going to get older. But both of these are fine because there is market demand for both families and older people. If we can go to the next one, please, household. In Russell Township, 52% of all households consist of only 1 or 2 persons. In the county, it's 62%. Now, single person and two-person households generally, especially if they are over 50 years of age, they have more time and more money, and they can spend more for leisure, entertainment, restaurants, culture, things of that nature. Then families, they need more of the everyday necessities of life, which is food, the barber shop, etc., clothing. So both markets in the township as well as in the county are growing. Now, why is it that I mentioned the county? There are really three areas for the county for the residents to shop: Russell Township, Rockland, and Hawkesbury, or to some extent. The rest of the county doesn't have much to offer in terms of retail. Therefore, Russell Township gains some of that shopping. The shopping dollars of the rest of the county, some of it comes to Russell Township, and as a result, its markets is really strong. If we go to the next slide, please. The most important factor for the retail industry is the income of the people. You may be surprised to know that the median income of Russell Township in 2016 was 105 plus, and it was higher than Ottawa's. The city of Ottawa is usually among the top 3 cities in Canada with population of over 100,000 in terms of income. But the township of Russell, with a population of about 17,000, has exceeded Ottawa's. That is good news because it means people have got the money. And what are they doing with their money? They are not spending all of it in the township. Those who are very well off, they go to Ottawa or Rockland, elsewhere. And one of the challenges of your retail industry is to capture as much of that dollar as possible. How can that be done? By the proper type of businesses. If we can go to the next slide, please, population projection. You had hired Hemson Consulting, and this population figure has come from them, and I think it's too conservative. They estimate that the population of Russell Township is going to increase by 1.9% a year to the year 3 in the next 25 years. In other words, that's double the standard. So you have got high income, high population growth. These are things that many municipalities wish they could have. High income and good population growth. And obviously, as you can see, the county is going to grow as well. Even the county is going to grow by 1.2%. So you have got high income and good population growth. Now, what do we have in terms of what's on the ground now? There are 142 or so businesses in Russell Township, and in total, they have almost 500,000 square footage of space. That may not mean much to you, but what is important is this. It comes to almost 28 square feet per person, and the industry standard is between 30 to 40 square feet per person. If we take the average of that, 35 square feet, it means that Russell Township is understored for a large number of retail and service businesses. If the residents of Russell Township were to spend all of their dollars in Russell Township, right now you could support 170,000 square feet more of floor space, retail and service. If we go to the last one, which is our recommendation, first of all, our district recommendation is tentative, and we are recommending the council to consider these ones, to go after a number of these. The type of things that, based on our understanding of Russell Township, are going to be quite successful here are listed here. A couple of them. One of them is a pasta making shop. Anywhere these pasta making food stores have opened up a store where families in particular and children can see how pasta is made in different shapes, different types, they love it. They sell the pasta, meat, cheese, all kinds of things, and we all eat, everybody eats. So this is one of the types of stores that would be, I think, successful here. Another one that would be highly successful, I think, would be chain, high-quality chain coffee shops, such as Starbucks, such as Second Cup, etc., but having lounge chairs, very comfortable chairs with magazines, newspapers, in other words, to become a community type center, a place of gathering for people to go there to chit-chat, to become aware of each other, and you'll be surprised how much these coffee shops make, a lot. Their sales per square foot is quite a lot. Another one is a brew pub type of restaurant. This thing has become extremely popular since 6-7 years ago. People love to see how the beer is made, if it's like behind glass, especially the copper pipes. Everybody loves it. Everybody loves to see how beer is made, and the freshness of it right there brings people for beer, for food, for other activities, and we are recommending also that there should be a stage for musical activities, theater, other things. And there are quite a large number of them in Ottawa, in Toronto is full of them, Montreal is full of them, and they are very successful. A number of the other restaurants that are other things that we have recommended, people from a health point of view or ethical point of view, or for whatever reason they may not like it. We have said, for example, 2 cannabis, a number of chain restaurants. What we are saying is consider this, because if you don't have them, your residents go elsewhere to get them. And when they go elsewhere to get them, they also shop at other businesses which you already have here. The success of business with the business community is to ensure that you get people into your stores, and not only that, that people go to shop to the adjacent stores as well. We call this cross-shopping. We are recommending up to 120,000 square feet, even though we can support 170,000. We are recommending 120,000 in the course of the next 10 years. At this point, we have not said exactly what or where, but we do know that if some of the stores that we are recommending, if they come, they reduce the leakage of shopping dollars to other areas, they increase businesses, they increase obviously employment and taxes, and they also help other stores. Now, you may say, well, would it also have negative impacts? New stores may have not necessarily yes. If there are too many of them, if there's a store open to another store of the same kind, and if the existing stores lose more than 10% of their sales over 3 years. In other words, if they lose a little bit the first year or two, especially in an area that is growing, they will quickly recover. Now, very briefly, a complete comprehensive retail study has 5 components. One of them is to do a survey of residents to find out where they shop, how much they spend, why they don't shop more in Russell, what do they buy in Ottawa or in Toronto or elsewhere. That's one component. Another component of it is to interview people as they leave the stores, to ask them, did you find everything? How was it? Was the service good? Did you find all the products? Is the price good? Another component, very important, is for someone like me to go on an in-person and confidential basis, interview business owners to ask them a large number of questions in terms of where their customers are coming from, what do the customers want, how happy they are, and what do they have to do to improve their business. I am told that in many places, businesses complain about City Hall, they complain about online, about other things. One of the things that we talk to them is, what are you doing to improve your business? What do you expect the municipality to do to improve your business? One of the things that is very important is to establish a BIA, Business Improvement Association, or Merchant Association. I have done studies for more than 30 of these in Ottawa, in Toronto, and other places. I can tell you with absolute certainty, where there is a BIA, businesses do very well, their sales are high, and the community is much better, and property values go up. We, due to lack of budget, etc., we were not authorized to do these other things. And one of the things that I think is very important for you to consider is to commission us or somebody else to at least do interviews with 20 to 30 business owners on an in-person, confidential basis. And once that is done, then a very detailed action plan can be developed to say what should be developed in the Russell Village, what should be in Embra, when, and who has got to do what to improve your retail market. That's all for now, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Barry. Members of council, Councillor Kanowski?
So thank you very much for the presentation. I really enjoyed reading the report. Particularly liked your inventory of existing retail space, and some of which is currently empty,
Yes.
which is also interesting. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, I guess, excuse me, pertaining to the average income. So our average income here is higher than Ottawa, but is there an impact when we talk about the cost for most of us that commute back and forth? You know, for example, in myself, both my wife and I own a car, so we have a lot higher expenses as well for the commuting and so on. So that has an impact. As good as that higher average income is, there is a major impact living out of town to commute. So is that taken into consideration when you look at that, or?
Yes, I can tell you with certainty from other areas that the high-income people in Russell Township are not doing most of their shopping locally. They actually make the trip to other places, Ottawa, etc., to do some of the shopping. And the reason is either they cannot find what they want here, or the quality of what is here is not good enough for them. And the quality of some of the businesses is not good, and some of it is very good. It's a mix, as it would be everywhere. I think one of the things that the businesses themselves have to recognize, and that would be done through that interview, is that, you know, the potential here exists. You have got the potential to improve your stores, to increase your sales, and to have a much, much better business here. Because incomes are high and population is growing. And not only that, the future is quite bright. To the extent that I am aware, and I've talked to Ms. Chambila and others, this area is going to continue to grow for the next 10 years.
So my last question, you talked about the BIAs.
Yes.
And how is that different from the Chamber of Commerce? Because I believe we have two here, is that correct? What?
Chamber of Commerce is for all businesses, whereas the BIA is strictly for retail businesses. What this means is that the Chamber of Commerce has to pay attention to office, to many businesses, and they will also pay attention to the BIA, but it's not exactly the same. In many places, including in Ottawa, there is a Chamber of Commerce. In fact, there are 3 Chambers of Commerce, and there are 18 BIAs. The way, very briefly, the way the BIAs work is that it has to be approved by the province. They each pay a certain amount of money based on their square footage. They have their own board of directors. Every penny of the contribution is spent on the businesses, on promotion. It's not a tax. It's something that enables the merchants to hire more or less to save on accounting, on legal, on many things, and more than anything is on advertising and promotion. And the money is all raised from the businesses, and 100% of it is spent on businesses. Not only that, in fact, the city of Ottawa and a number of other cities, they give to each BIA, they used to give to each BIA $15,000 a year. Now they have cut it back to $7,500 a year. So this is very important for people to understand. It is not a tax. It's just money for the promotion of the businesses themselves.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Grisson?
Yeah, thank you for that study. The only thing I have is just for the municipality, we don't make those businesses. I know that there was some requests from a lot of people, and I don't want to see the people coming in and say, oh, it's the municipality that has to make a restaurant, and so it's just that image that I don't want the municipality. That's why I'm never surprised that it's not coming more from the Chamber of Commerce, this. On your presentation, you did talk about a region that has more retail. You talk about Rockland, Hawkesbury, but there's Casselman for us that is a big competitor, I would say, because they're beside the 417, they have Saint-Hubert, the McDonald, the Kenyon Tower. So in the report, maybe just making sure that they're taking in consideration, because they're a big part taking the retail, because I know for myself too that I can go to Kenyon Tire there, and while I'm there, as you were saying, I'll go to do something else.
Right. I am fully aware of that. It's not only Castleman, it's also the Rockland and Ottawa. Despite all of that, this community can support more. Because, as you said, you're going somewhere else. Wouldn't you much rather have it on Notre Dame Street, close to other things, close to a supermarket, etc., etc.? But to answer your first question, our studies are usually either commissioned by BIAs or by municipalities. When there is no BIA, municipalities do it, and the idea is not that it is not the municipality's duty to go find what we have recommended. No, it is for the municipality and the planners to be aware of what is needed, what is missing here, and distribute or share this information with landlords. It's ultimately the landlords who bring new businesses. And when, the landlords sometimes do not have this type of, a landlord who has got 2 or 3 stores, they do not have the money to hire someone like me. But if the municipality does it and shares it with them, and then they grow, they pay you more taxes. Ultimately, you make that money. In other words, it's an investment on your part. I have mentioned to Mr. Hamlin, I have done so far in the last 8 years 2 very large major studies for Rockland. And each of those studies cost between $30,000 to $40,000, which is the cost of a comprehensive study. I have done it for the city of Ottawa many times. For some of the BIAs, such as Bank Street and Westboro BIA, I have done it 3 times. Every 5 years they do the study, because they want to know what is changing, what is popular, what is losing the popularity, and what are people spending their money on, and what they expect. That's the most important thing, is to talk to consumers to find out what are they looking for that they cannot find. And that information is like gold mine for retailers.
Thank you. Conseiller Lorrain?
I just got 2 things. The first one is, it's all well and good, we see, what could potentially work here, but it takes investment,
Yes.
right? We can't just sit here and go, this looks good, without investment. And, it's whether it's seeking out that investment or that investment coming in,
Yeah.
now that this report is here and coming to the municipality. However, I do see a lot of the items on there where businesses had been here, failed, and moved on. And so to have them back up there again, it's difficult to see, because people are gonna, obviously if somebody's gonna invest in the community, they're gonna go and talk to the people that had those businesses previously to find out why they didn't succeed.
Sure.
We are a growing community, and we're hoping to get everything on, that we can. More commercial taxes is what we're looking for. So that's the first point I want to make, is that it takes investment, and not just a study.
Of course.
The second piece is, in parts of this report, we talked about the Emblem square footage, Russell square footage, and whatnot. Is this broken down at all by area as well? This
In the report, yes.
these 2 tables?
Yes.
And I say that only because there's basically no commercial land available in Russell. So it'd be great to have a lot of these items, but they're not going in that side of the.
Right, okay. if I may please respond. You're absolutely right, it takes investment, absolutely. I do not know whether your municipality has an economic development department or not, but normally this type of study is taken by the economic development department and sent to potential tenants. And then they can talk to them and bring them over. Now, in terms of what the businesses that were here, I don't know which ones you're talking about and how long ago it was. What I can tell you based on my 30 years of experience is that businesses can fail in the best of times and businesses can succeed in the worst of times. There are reasons why businesses fail. It may be too much competition. Maybe they are too expensive. Maybe they do not have good staff. There are many, many reasons. And in any case, if the ones that you're talking about, it was more than 5 years ago, it was a different time. Since about 5-6 years ago, Russell Township is growing very rapidly, very different. Again, the municipality's role, in my view, I'm not saying that the municipality has to invest to bring people, but the municipality has to help to trigger investment, to bring investment here. And the best thing that can be done is to distribute this type of report to landowners, to major landowners, because they are the ones.
Councillor Lalonde?
Well, it's great that you mentioned the Economic Development Department because you were so glowingly about Dominic and that's her role. So it's I think it'll work perfectly that Dominic knows about this and is going to be able to use this for potential additional businesses in this community. So.
Thank you. Councillor Saucier?
Thank you for your report. Well, I'm a huge advocate of shopping locally and do so solely. So I'm happy to see this. I do like the BIA idea, and we do quite a bit as a township on the Eco-Dev department. We have an event annually where we bring all the local businesses together and they promote their businesses. We have craft breweries and things like that, and they all gather in local wineries. We profile all of these businesses at this huge event, and then they get to network and meet each other, and it's something that's really important. So whether we do, more things like that, I like the ideas. As I sent my comments, the only one I wasn't excited about was McDonald's, and I just can't vision the big yellow arches in Russell. So that's something that I wouldn't be too. I think we do need a restaurant for sure, and I could see something a little more subtle fitting into the township. Because we're working on a community improvement plan as well, and I just, just sort of having that gaudiness, I guess, in the village just doesn't fit. So, but other than that, I love the report and the idea, so thank you.
Thank you very much. I have tried to demonstrate what type of things people need.
Mm-hmm.
You and I could be for or against the cannabis store or liquor store or what have you, but if your residents, again, I don't know that. We would have known that if we had the telephone survey. But if your residents go to another town or McDonald's or for whatever, and then while they are there, they should go to a women's store shopping and the supermarket there, you're losing a lot, not just the restaurant meal, but you're also losing the shopping at the women's store or the Canadian Tire store, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Councillor Saucier. Thank you very much, Barry. I'll just add a few comments. I think that it's a wonderful report. As you mentioned, and Councillor Brisson made a point, I think that the role of the municipality is yes, in a sense, to try and attract business, but we're here to create an atmosphere where the businesses want to come. And this is just another tool in our toolbox that we can provide to our business community, landlords, developers, and that kind of stuff to say, here, this is a basic of what we've done. This is what, you should be investigating. Yeah. And I think that, I agree some businesses might come that, somebody might not want, but at the end of the day, we're giving choice to our residents. If a business comes into the municipality, it's up to the residents to decide through their support if they want that business here or not. And I think, again, as much as we talk about them going shopping elsewhere, well, perhaps if we bring some of these business in, we'll start bringing people from the exterior into our municipality, and that's what we want. We want dollars from the exterior that start spending their money here. So I think that's it's another tool for our toolbox. I think that if we look at the report card, which we've been doing over the last few years, a lot of comments on there reflect that they want more restaurants, they want more business coming into our township. That's what they're looking for. So again, this just reinforces this report. I like the idea of a BIA. That's something definitely I think that council and the administration should look at, talk to our businesses, see if there's an interest there. Anything to add from the administration, Monsieur Leduc, Madame Tremblay?
Oui, j'aimerais ça juste aussi, cette étude-là, c'est le suivi de ce qu'on a fait avec le OPRO, le BRME. So 2 years ago, remember with the counties, we did a BRME, so there was a lot of businesses that were surveyed. And one of the comments that came out, like really often, is that we have a vacant property, we don't know what to do with it, or we have a vacant space, and they've been trying to reach tenants that could rent those spaces, but they can't find anybody because people are scared, not knowing what the market is. And this is a tool for us that will help those businesses to attract new businesses or even find better spaces for them that would suit their need and our demographic population. So this is really in continuity of what we're trying to achieve with the BRE and make those results, using those results of that study and bring them to life and helping actually the businesses in the township.
Merci, Madame Tremblay. Conseiller Lorraine and Conseiller Buston.
Sorry, just one last piece as well. The one thing that we also have to remember is that a lot of these, that when these businesses do come, it's not just a tax base, it's not just bringing them in so that other businesses can flourish, it's that it's bringing jobs to the community as well. And, you know, we'll probably disagree on the McDonald's example, but that is a fantastic place for people to work, young and or old. You know, it's a place that supports significant employment. So,
as somebody who used to work there for several years, I can attest to that, and I can tell you as a longtime business owner, whenever I saw an employee that worked at McDonald's, I knew they were a good employee to have to go through everything they did and well trained. So it's a great organization to work for and have staff come from. So, Monsieur Leduc.
Madame Conseil, when Mrs. Tremblay came to me and asked me if she could conduct a study, I did support it because we've been getting over the last 2.5 years all kinds of chains coming and knocking on her door, getting phone calls, and now we've developed our town folio and our video of our township, but we're always lacking this document that supports what's missing, what are the numbers, what's the growth projections, and how are we faring with other areas. And I think we should be quite proud of it. Now, the issue that we have is to promote ourselves to say, we are here and open for business. I think that's the next step, the action plan coming from the study is, okay, let's promote this now information so that we can attract and confirm with these people who've been looking around, sniffing, to say, hey, we're here and it's real. It's not just a dream. It's certainly it's a reality of our economics in our area, and therefore we should promote it and then foster it and make sure that we gain from it. And again, you touched on it, Mr. Mayor, that our last 3 years report card did indicate to us a lot of information regarding what kind of businesses they're looking for, which is restaurants and some other retail outlets, and basically we're trying to achieve that.
Thank you very much, Monsieur Leduc. Conseiller Bisson, Councillor Tarnowski.
Oui, j'aurais juste la recommandation que ce rapport pourrait être envoyé à la Chambre des commerces de Prescott-Russell, qu'ils deal avec nos business, tout ça, que ça serait une bonne information pour eux autres, pour les commerçants qui sont dedans, puis essayer d'en trouver d'autres. C'est le monde qui sont prêts à investir, ça fait que ça serait une chose très intéressante, puis des avoirs. C'est sûr aussi que pour attirer le business, c'est pas fin de dire ça, mais il faudrait que notre réputation améliore au point de vue building puis bylaw enforcement, parce qu'on a une mauvaise réputation comme c'est là dedans. Des fois, comme certains business, tout de même, s'ils veulent mettre, on va venir avec, quand on avait une discussion, des flags en avant parce qu'ils font une ouverture ou des choses comme ça, les avertir sans aller avec la pénalité ou des choses comme ça. c'est ma recommandation aussi, de consulter nos commerces.
Merci, conseiller Brisson. Moi, juste faire un commentaire là-dessus. Il y a tout le temps deux côtés d'une
Ouais,
médaille.
je sais.
Parce que souvent, durant les 4 dernières années, j'ai fait part du review team. Puis j'ai assis avec des gens d'affaires, des compagnies qui regardent à venir faire business dans notre municipalité. Puis souvent, le commentaire que j'ai entendu à la table du review team, c'est que c'est beaucoup plus facile de dealer avec nous autres qu'avec les grosses villes.
Oui, 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 absolument.
Oui. So I think, you know, as much as people like to complain, there is another side of the coin on that, and as well as the fact that we are a growing municipality and we have to do our due diligence, and it can't be done like it was done 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, because often that's what happens is longtime business owners here remember the good old days where they could essentially make a phone call to the mayor and get that approved without going through the proper process. So I think our administration team has done a very good job through the review team and through trying to spread that mentality of customer service and trying to improve things. Madame Tremblay?
We're fighting for the mic. I just want to word our department, my department is really excited to have those big franchise because the people that are used to build in Ottawa, Toronto, are excited to come and work with us. They are happy to come because the only comment that they come back is it's easy, it's fun, and we're really involved in the process. So people that are not used of building, you're gonna receive that same complaint, but the people that are used of the process to do our due diligence are gonna make sure that they're happy to come and develop in the
C'est ça
township.
que
So it's a reputation that I don't think it's accurate throughout the board.
I think as well, what happens at the end of the day is, you know, the provincial policy statement, the building code, these are things that are put in place by the province that is delegated to the municipality to enforce those rules, as well as, you know, policies that council has put in place with the zoning bylaw, the sign bylaw, the official plan. These are the rules that council has put in place. So the staff are just following the direction that council is given. So, you know, when there's issues, perhaps it's up to, when we speak to residents, if there's an issue, obviously we have a conversation with our staff, but we also have to realize that this is something that if we're not happy with, bring to the council table so that we can make changes, if that's the direction council wants to go and it's within our mandate. But yes, there'll always be those people that aren't happy with something, and that's normal, that's being in local government. Councillor Tarnowski.
A couple of points. So, first of all, you're mentioning the toolbox, Madame Tremblay. Just to know, in terms of this toolbox that's growing, which is awesome, do we have, and pardon me if I don't know this, but do we have traffic studies, traffic patterns and everything? So that's available to possible businesses, yeah?
Yeah, so Jonathan could correct me if I'm wrong, but we've just completed in 2018 a traffic study for the entire township of Russell, considering full capacity of all of our vacant properties in the township of Russell as commercial and residential. So yes, it's available, and it was approved by council in 2018.
Outstanding, that's great. So it's available to the general public. Okay, secondly, I think we were kind of discussing what's happened in the past and everything else. And what I really like about this study that Barry put together is that no matter what, it's a great starting point, certainly for me, to see where we're at right now in terms of square footage being used, not being used, and the capacity. So we can review that as we move forward and seeing how well we're doing in terms of meeting those growth requirements or those growth estimates compared to our population growth. So I think it's a great, starting point to measure from. It's exciting times.
Thank you very much. Conseiller Saucier.
The other thing was also the promotion of local businesses through RECAN as well. Do we still have Redcoat too? Remember we had which promoted local businesses?
Monsieur Leduc.
I think Redco was when Mrs. Collins was as a private consultant,
Right.
entertaining that group. But since she's been working for us, she's had to step back from that group. So that's been, I don't think it's been as effective as it was before.
And then again, in our welcome wagon, we also put everything out with that as well. So I guess my last comment would be coming back to the McDonald's. I voted against having cannabis stores across from high schools. Can we not have them across from high schools as well for health reasons? That was the two reasons I voted against cannabis across from, so location would be significant for me as well. I don't know if anybody was at the Living Locally Fair, but there was a 13-year-old McHappy Meal that's still intact.
I think we have, part of our zoning bylaw determines where that kind of industry can go. And I think that, you know, if I look at the McDonald's menu today, there's a lot more healthy choices than there were in the past. So as I mentioned earlier, as residents make choices, McDonald's adjusts and every other business should adjust them. Quelque chose d'autre de l'administration, Monsieur Leduc?
Monsieur le maire, donc j'aimerais revenir au point de Monsieur Buisson par rapport à la Chambre de commerce. Je pense que la différence qu'on veut faire dans le futur, c'est pas seulement qu'envoyer une copie, mais c'est que la maire, Mme Tremblay ou moi-même ou d'autres équipes aillent présenter le rapport, faire de l'argumentation, répondre positivement aux critiques, ou faire face aux critiques, puis répondre où on veut aller. Je pense que c'est le prochain step, si on regarde du plan d'action, c'est d'être nous-mêmes les propres porte-parole, puis les vendeurs de municipalité, puis pas, c'est sûr qu'on va être peur d'avoir une copie seulement, mais pas d'avoir peur d'y aller, puis de défendre.
Merci, Monsieur Leduc. Ajouté à ce commentaire-là, j'ai eu des discussions avec Mme Brisson à un point, puis j'ai dit, tu sais, on a des membres du conseil qui siègent sur des comités de citoyens. Faites la demande, demandez qu'un membre du conseil siège au niveau des chambres de commerce. De cette manière-là, ils peuvent avoir de l'input de la municipalité, puis tu sais, avoir la discussion, avoir les portes ouvertes, les fenêtres ouvertes, qu'est-ce que tu veux, pour être capable, two-way street discussion. Tu sais, souvent, qu'est-ce qui arrive, c'est qu'ils invitent les maires à faire un breakfast à chaque année, parler un petit peu, mais on dirait que c'est la seule communication. On essaie d'améliorer la communication avec ces organisations-là, avec les business. The more we can speak to them, the more open discussion we can have, it's only better for everyone. Alors, avec ça, thank you very much, Barry. Much appreciated.
Pleasure.
And we look forward, as Councillor Tanowski mentioned, it's a good starting point. It's a benchmark where we can look at it in a few years and see how well did we improve our situation. Merci beaucoup, Madame Tremblay.
Monsieur le maire, je voudrais juste
Oui.
ajouter sur le commentaire de Monsieur Brisson
Oui.
par rapport aux règlements municipaux. Il ne faut pas oublier que l'administration reflète ce que le conseil veut. Donc, on enforce les règlements que vous approuvez. Donc, j'apprécie pas qu'en public, vous dénigrez vos employés qui travaillent à vous représenter. Je ne suis pas d'accord avec ça. Hein? Deux, c'est que le règlement, on l'a expliqué à plusieurs reprises, il a été fait avec beaucoup d'ouverture, on a invité les commerçants, on a parlé avec les entreprises d'enseignes, puis tout le monde dit qu'on est plus tolérant que la majorité des places. C'est correct si vous voulez être encore plus tolérant, j'ai pas de problème avec ça, puis on va le changer le règlement. Mais je pense pas que c'est en public qu'on devrait dénigrer les employés, qu'on devrait faire ça professionnellement.
Merci
Puis
beaucoup, Madame Bourdeau.
on a changé le règlement.
Je tiens à m'excuser personnellement, comme publiquement aussi. J'ai réalisé que tu sais, ça arrive qu'on parle trop de ça. Mon commentaire pour la Chambre des commerces est vraiment bon. L'autre, je sais que c'était déplacé, puis je m'en excuse auprès des deux comités que ça a été de trop. Je m'en excuse.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur. We'll move on to the next item. Item C, authorization to execute a subdivision agreement, report PD 02-2019. That council receives report PD, oops, I skipped one, Sorry, skipped one. Item B, removal of part lot control, report PD 01-2019, property owned by 2035482 Ontario Inc., and known as 315321 Belford Street in Emblem. The council receives a report PD 01-2019 dated January 21st, 2019, adopts a bylaw to approve the proposed application for the removal of part lot control submitted by 2035482 Ontario Inc., care of Mathieu Canal, for the parcel of land described as Block 64 on Plan 50M-331, being parts 1 to 7 on Plan 50R-10789, and known as 315-321 Belford Street in the village of Emblem. Questions, comments, members of council? Pretty standard stuff. Anything to add from the administration? No? We'll move on. Item C, authorization to execute a subdivision agreement. The council receives report PD 02-2019 dated January 21st, 2019. And the council approves the bylaw to authorize the mayor and the clerk to execute and affix the corporate seal to a subdivision agreement between Anthony Corvinelli and John Corvinelli Investments Limited for phases 7A, 7B, and 8A of the subdivision, and the corporation of the Township of Russell for a parcel of land legally described as part of Lot 12, Concession 3, and part of Lot 20, Registered Plan 50M-317, Village of Russell, Township of Russell, County of Russell. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Associate.
I'm just curious, is there a park playground in the plan for that? As it's getting further away from us?
Madame Tremblay?
So this is just phases out of the bigger plan of subdivision. And in the initial plan of subdivision, the park was planned and is still planned at the extremity east of the water retention pond. So it's still at that location, it's still part of the subdivision agreement, but those are just phases of a bigger plan of subdivision, but it's still at the same location.
D'autres questions, commentaires? Quelque chose d'autre à ajouter, Madame Tremblay?
Non?
No? Parfait. We'll move on. Item D, removal of part lot control report PD 03-2019. The council receives report PD 03-2019 dated January 21st, 2019, and adopts the bylaw for the proposed application for the removal of part lot control submitted by Melanie Construction Inc., care of James D. Campbell of Campbell and Sabourin LLP, for the parcel of land described as Lot 98 on Plan 50M-332, being parts 1, 2, and 3 on Plan 50R-10807 and known as 396-398 Twilight Avenue in the Village of Russell. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? Pretty standard. Move on to item E. Pay list of December 2018. That council receives the pay list for the month of December 2018. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? No? Move on to item F. Amendment to the Traffic and Parking Bylaw Report PIC 02-2019. To add a 15-minute parking zone on the north side of Castor Street, starting 19 meters to the west of Concession Street and ending at the rear entrance of 1120 Concession Street in Russell. The council receives report PIC 02-2019 dated January 21st, 2019, and approves as recommended in this report the proposed bylaw amendment to Traffic and Parking Bylaw 31-2004 to add a 15-minute parking area along the north side of Castor Street in Russell. Questions, comments, members of council? Councilor Associate?
I just had one, on the, that won't interfere with the buses, going down, the school buses on that side?
No, we verified the width and the
Okay.
distance it is from the corner,
Okay,
and
perfect.
it shouldn't interfere with anyone.
Parfait. D'autres questions, commentaires? No? We'll move on. Item G, parking on county roads, report PIC 03-2018. The council receives report PIC 03-2019 dated January 21st, 2019, and as recommended in this report, make a request to the United Counties Prescott and Russell to designate a no parking area on Craig Street, County Road 3, 30 meters east and 30 meters west of Broadway Avenue in Russell. Questions, comments, members of council? Conseiller Brisson.
Pour moi-même, à l'est de Broadway, je recommanderais personnellement même que ça se rende jusqu'à la rue Force. Parce que c'est tout au nord, c'est tous des commerces qu'il y a le long, puis qu'il y a plusieurs sorties qui suivent. Ça fait que ça nuit la visibilité, mais il y a bien du parking en dedans. C'est pour ça que personnellement, au lieu d'être juste une petite distance, vu qu'il y a tout de suite une autre entrée, je recommanderais même d'aller d'être pas jusqu'à Force, au moins jusqu'à c'est quoi l'autre rue?
Old Town.
Old Town Road. Que toute cette section-là au nord soit recommandée au comté qu'il n'y ait pas de stationnement pour moi, parce que comme je le dis, il y a bien des sorties.
Madame Bourdeau.
On n'a pas regardé loin comme ça.
OK.
Je comprends ce que M. Besson veut dire.
Tant qu'à le faire, la démarche.
On peut revisiter ce dossier-là si vous voulez.
Oui. Ben, on pourrait approuver ce soir, puis après ça, vous pouvez faire la recherche, puis s'il y a une autre demande qui devient, on peut faire ce point.
Oui, on peut pas le recommander.
Monsieur Leduc?
Au courant de 2019, il est question de regarder la question de trottoir, ça sur concession, sur Craig. Donc peut-être cette question-là pourrait être discutée en même temps là, des trottoirs, toutes les entrées, tout le reste. Donc, ce serait bon temps de parler des comtés à ce moment-là.
Okay. Conseiller Lorrain?
I agree with the east side in front of the Tim Hortons. I know that there's been people where there's been either a big truck or a bus or something that's been parked there, and somebody has to come around, and you're almost now coming into oncoming traffic, and with inclement weather, it's very difficult. I have no problem with that one. With the one on the west side, or the east side, sorry, I'm mixed up. On the east side, in front of the food land at the corner, isn't that a turning lane already? Like, I don't think there's any parking there to begin with.
Is it, I believe there's a turning lane into Foodland, but after that, is there another turn?
There's a turning lane to turn onto Broadway.
I think people park in there anyways, that's why.
Well, there's no parking.
Okay, I've never seen somebody park there before, I don't know if that has been an issue and the reasoning, like, did we get a complaint?
That's why we've received requests for this, because people say they have a hard time getting out of the side street.
You can't see it.
Yeah.
Because they can't see, because trucks park on both sides to go to Tim Hortons. So we did speak to the Tim Hortons and the Foodland and explain, and they were okay with it, they had no issues.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it, I just thought it was already a no-brainer because there's a turning lane there, it's not
I've seen
it's not a stopping lane.
No, I've actually seen somebody park on Castor in front of the Russell Restaurant, on the side of the Russell Restaurant, to go past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like essentially right in the lane, and the comment was, well, there was no parking sign. It's like,
But you're halving the road.
yeah, exactly.
So,
So,
okay.
okay. Ben, il va y avoir beaucoup de discussions pour le trottoir et tout qui se passe à ce point-là. Peut-être on peut, si le conseil est d'accord, je ne veux pas nécessairement faire des changements à ce point-ci sans avoir les discussions, les investigations. Si je veux dire, c'est pas une grosse demande, c'est juste un autre rapport qui vient au conseil si on décide de faire une demande plus loin. Conseiller Ternowski?
Juste confirmer avec vous, M. le maire, c'est que vous voulez procéder avec ça,
Oui.
sans changer à ce point-ci, mais avec l'idée de le changer possiblement dans le futur. Puis juste confirmer, parce que je pense que ce qui est important, c'est d'agir tout de suite, parce que si c'est un risque d'accident, quoi que ce soit, on est mieux de le faire tout de suite, de faire cette demande-là tout de suite, puis sur la suite. Mon point, c'est que je ne veux pas qu'on bloque à soir s'il y a une possibilité de demander à ce niveau-ci.
Je pense pas que c'est une demande de sécurité à ce point-ci. On a eu une demande parce que quelqu'un y a parqué là. Je pense, moi, j'ai jamais entendu du monde qui parquait en avant du Foodland, en avant du... pas le vieux Foodland in front of the garage.
Plus loin, non, j'ai pas eu de plainte de plus loin, j'ai eu les plaintes pour
Au secteur ici. But it's never been brought forward as a problem in the past. Okay. So if everybody's okay, we'll proceed with this, and Madame Bordeaux can look at the possibility if we need to extension. But as Monsieur Leduc mentioned, we're going to have discussions with the counties in regards to the sidewalk in that area and all the entrances and so forth. Okay. Move on to the next item. Item H, similar amendment to Traffic and Parking Bylaw Report PIC 04-2019. The council receives report PIC 04-2019 dated January 21st, 2019, and approves as recommended this report the proposed bylaw amendment to Traffic and Parking Bylaw 31-2004 to add no parking spaces along the west side of Broadway Avenue between Craig and the entrance to 88 Broadway Avenue. Also on the east side of Broadway Avenue between Craig Street to 148 Craig Street entrance located on Broadway Avenue to allow better visibility for motorists. This is essentially each side of Broadway, just past the Foodland and Tim Hortons. Any questions, comments, members of council on that? Conseiller Larrey?
So now this is, just wanna make sure I see the right one here.
So it's the same, sorry.
So one was, the previous one was on Craig.
Craig. now it's on,
On Broadway itself.
Both side of
okay, so here's where I have a problem then. On the east side, I can understand, on the Foodland side. On the Tim Hortons side, I think there has to be something there, because that parking lot isn't meant for certain size vehicles. And that's the only place that they're gonna park, is there, or go into the Foodland parking, which I'm sure that Kenan wouldn't want people parking there to go to, you know, providing a parking lot for another business. I see a lot of vehicles that park right there, right where we're talking about on the west side, so in front of the Tim Hortons, on Broadway. I think we have to get them somewhere to park. If we're taking away 3 other options, and again, on the Foodland side, I've never seen people park on that side. On the east side, I always see people park on the other side. So having it on one side, I have no problem. In front of the Tim Hortons area. Now, restrict it to, you know, not so close to Craig Street, but give them a distance from the park entrance to the Tim Hortons and Craig Street, if that makes sense.
So currently, they would be able to park on the north side of the Tim Hortons, correct? Comme sur Broadway, passer Tim Hortons, ils seraient capables de parker ce ball-là. So essentially, it's after the Tim Hortons that they wouldn't be allowed to park. So you would like to see some
Right there.
on this side. Well, there's a
On
fire
Broadway.
hydrant there, that won't help.
No, but
And there's a certain distance from the entrance as well.
well, then say they can go from the entrance up into the proper distance to the fire hydrant. And then everything from the fire hydrant up is restricted. If that makes sense.
On a-tu ces mesures-là, Madame Tremblay? Ah, excuse-moi, Madame
Non,
Bourdeau.
j'ai pas ces.
Ces distances-là.
L'autre secteur où est-ce qu'ils peuvent stationner, c'est sur la rue Craig, mais vraiment plus loin du coin, là, ils peuvent stationner là aussi.
Passer en s'en allant vers Ottawa.
Ouais.
Out Hamilton, comme.
Ouais, il y a de la place là, pour stationner. L'autre problème qu'on a, c'est que les camions semblent passer dans les subdivisions pour stationner là, pour pas être obligés de tourner de bord. Là, ça devient des problèmes de traffic.
Quand on parle de comme.
Ils font le tour comme,
Ils vont sur Old Town, passent dans
Ouais.
Broadway pour venir parquer sur
puis là,
Broadway.
ils stationnent sur le bord de la rue. Là.
Comme on parle-tu des 18 roues ou on parle des.
Ben, des camions, des tandem, des triaxles, fait que là, ça fait qu'ils font le tour du bloc pour aller stationner là, mais ils n'ont pas le droit de faire le tour du bloc. Là.
Ouais, parce que j'ai été souvent avec mon pick-up, j'ai pas de trouble avec le pick-up.
Well, I'm talking, you got people that come with, you know, and I seen it yesterday as an example. I'm sitting in the Tim Hortons and movers are out, and they got a big truck. So they should have probably parked on the side, but what do? They come right in, they park, not an angle parking, but right out, and it takes, you know, they're almost into the drive-through. There's just not enough room for them to go in there. That if they have that ability, if we take away the ability for them to park there on the side of the road, then it's gonna cause significant backups. And we talk about trying to help our businesses and promote our businesses, people are gonna start turning away and not go. That's my opinion anyway.
We can remeasure this section. It's not like we're gonna put them up
No.
tomorrow,
C'est
so.
ça. So we can defer this report.
It's about 15 minutes.
50 meters.
Hey?
50 meters. From
50
the
meters.
hydrant to the entrance.
Yeah, there's.
Mais après ça, t'as pas le droit de parquer à une certaine distance de l'entrance, puis t'as pas le droit t'as une certaine distance du 25 meters from, there's roughly 25 meters left in between there. So it would be parking signs. So maybe what we can do is defer this item to the next meeting, come back with some calculations and show us exactly where the parking would be involved.
Okay.
And then council can make the decision if everybody's okay with that one.
Because this one is for us, it's not
Ouais.
good that you might release.
C'est ça. So we'll move, séparer système H là, madame, comme elle est là. Okay, any other questions, comments? No? We'll move on to item I. Amendment to Traffic and Parking Bylaw Report PIC 05-2018 to amend the no stopping signs on both sides of Concession Street south of Mother Teresa School to reflect school hours. Council receives report PIC 05-2019 dated January 21st, 2019 and approves as recommended in this report the proposed bylaw amendment to Traffic and Parking Bylaw 31-2004 to amend the no stopping signs along the east and west side of Concession Street near the New York Central Fitness Trail by changing the hours to reflect school hours. Any questions, members of council? Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, the biggest question I have is, obviously, does that exclude buses?
No.
Because they stop along there all the time. And in fact, cause a really significant problem by the library. So I think that we need to do something about that where they can't park either in front or behind of the entrance to the library. Cause I've had somebody that's tried to get out and you got one here and one there and you can't see either way. So, you know, my concern is we put this up where the bus is gonna go at that point in time.
So, Madame Bordeaux?
Well, it's we're not extending what's there presently, we're just reflecting the right hours because there's been school hour changes but the signs were not changed. So I don't think we're extending the section, it's the same section. It's just that
We're reflecting the hours of when school kids are actually coming in.
there might be a few spots along there, but not a lot. So we can, I don't wanna extend the no parking further down because it's just gonna make it further more of a problem.
So that's maybe,
Okay. Is there a way that we can request someone to do something with looking at no parking somewhere for buses at that time of day, cause it's very dangerous,
so perhaps what
like
we
further
can do.
down by the library.
Yeah, we can, this can be approved tonight, give direction, if council's in agreement to Madame Bordeaux to have a look at that section, see if there's a problem and see what,
Just for certain hours during certain
Yeah.
days.
from what I understand,
Basically between 1:30 and 3:30 in the afternoon, right, where the buses will be
just
there.
lined up and
Okay.
Yeah.
causing concerns. Okay, Conseiller Brisson?
Dans le rapport, je voyais que c'était comme la recommandation venait parce que les brigadiers avaient de la misère à voir à cause qu'il y avait des autos stationnés. Puis là, ben, il disait que les autobus sont stationnés là aussi. Est-ce qu'on pourrait faire une recommandation justement à l'école que ceux qui marchent sortent de l'école une fois que les autobus sont partis? Comme ça serait plus safe pour le brigadier. Parce
C'est parce qu'ils ne traversent pas juste à une école, ils traversent les étudiants de Saint-Joseph, les étudiants de, et puis de l'autre à l'autre bout aussi, l'école
Russell.
publique.
Yeah.
Ils traversent les élèves de plusieurs écoles.
So
And the
from
buses are staggered, right? Because Mother Teresa goes first, Saint Joseph goes second, and we're talking 10 minutes, but
Yeah.
Well,
So we hear there's an issue, so Madame Bordeaux will have a look at it and bring us back some possible solutions. Move on to item J, Community Grants Report PR 01-2019. The council receives report PR 01-2019 dated January 21st, 2019 and approves the following department's recommendation for the community grants donation in 2019 to the following group. 1, to approve an in-kind grant in the amount of $465 to the Russell Optimist Club for the rental of Frank Kennard Hall for a trivia night on January 26, 2019. According to the community grants and contribution guidelines, this request meets our requirements for funding. Questions, comments, members of council? Anything to add from the administration? Pretty standard stuff. Okay, move on to the next item, item K. 2018 municipal elections, identification, removal, and prevention of barriers for elections, report CL 03-2019. The council receives report CL 03-2019 dated January 21st, 2019 for information purposes. Questions, comments, members of council? Seeing none, anything to add from the administration? pretty much self-evident in the report.
That's it.
Okay. We'll move on to the next item. Item L, notice of amendments to procedural bylaw number 2018-026, report CL 04-2019. The council receives report CL 04-2019 dated January 21st, 2019 as notice regarding proposed amendments to council's procedural bylaw number 2018-026 and authorizes the clerk to bring forward the amending bylaw for consideration by council at its next regular council meeting on February 4th, 2019. So this is just notice. It will be presented coming back further discussion in 2 weeks' time. Councillor Tanaski, Councillor Associate, Councillor Letta.
So I'm just checking, so we can discuss this or not? Do we make comments on it?
To say it's to be discussed in 2 weeks. This is just a notice to say it's coming because the procedural bylaw in itself states that you have to give notice before you have to.
So no comments.
No comments at this point in time, but we are able to send in comments to the clerks if there's changes you would like to see. And in 2 weeks' time, like she gave us a chart of all the changes coming from the clerk's office. Council members can send in comments if you're looking for changes, and that'll just be added to the chart in 2 weeks, and we'll be able to discuss all the items as we go through them.
We'll say anything.
Can we not ask questions on this though?
Right?
Can we not ask questions on this?
Madame Cabré-Laflamme? It's come, essentially it's like a notice, a motion.
Yes, that's it. We prepared the chart just to help council, because usually it would have been just the report. And then we would have had the notice and the procedural bylaw ready for, it could have been another 2 weeks. So we just prepared the notice in advance. So at least you have something to start for the
Yeah,
bylaw.
so we'll be able to prepare our questions for the actual discussion in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, and if there's other and a lot of changes, then we'll have to just wait for the bylaw for another 2 weeks if we have to amend.
Yeah.
So if you know in advance and you wanna send them in, I can add them to the chart for discussion.
Good. Don't say so.
Yeah, I couldn't open the chart at all.
Oh.
It just came out blank.
Well, not sure why. Ours, mine came
Everything
up.
else was there, but the notice of amendment for the procedural bylaw,
Yeah,
but I
that
couldn't, the
wasn't
chart
there,
was blank.
Yeah, I
Right?
didn't even get that. Like, there was something missing here, I have notes here. That, why were you seeing this incomplete? If we were expected to vote on February 4th, I would need to see the complete version beforehand.
Yeah, so that's what we received today is a complete version at this point in
I don't
time.
know, this is what I'm doing, it's not.
I'll take a look at the iPad afterwards, see if I can help you with that.
That could depend on the PDF version you have, if it hasn't been updated, or,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Maybe we have a PDF version that's higher than yours. That could be,
We'll have a look at it. Councillor Lai?
Yeah, I guess I'm still confused as to why we can't ask questions on it. I mean, it's a report on the agenda tonight.
It's a notice that this will.
No,
be
it's there's a resolution.
The
It's
resolution.
under it's under reports and resolutions, so it's a report on the agenda. Why can't we ask questions on it?
Because it authorizes clerk to bring forward the amending bylaw for consideration at the next regular meeting of February 4th, 2019. Madame Cabré-Laflamme?
and the bylaw states that we have to give notice before we can
Yes.
bring forward the bylaw for amendments. That's how it was prepared.
So certain bylaws require that information. Monsieur Leduc?
A lot of these provisions are for, to allow the public to be there if they have a concern on a particular matter. That's why you have to provide notice before. And then when it's up for discussion at next council meeting, then whoever's got issues with whatever subject that, on this chart can be there and ask questions actually.
For transparency. Want to say that?
Yeah, but we're not voting on it tonight.
It's not
Right.
a motion.
It's just notice being given, and the changes that are being proposed. Monsieur Leduc?
What we can do next time to avoid the confusion, Mr. Mayor, we can just suggest that you provide a chart, so therefore you will have no ahead notice, and you'll be surprised at it next week.
This way, it's giving us 2 weeks' notice to have a look at.
Yes.
And again, the proposed changes are presented. This will be discussed in 2 weeks' time. If council members require more changes, those would be given as notice at that point in time and would be voted on separately further down the road. Councillor Tarnowski, Councillor Lara.
That makes complete sense. I've got quite a few points and I'll send them by email. And, and it makes sense to me. So what we're saying today, just to make sure, is that we're bringing this forward in 2 weeks. You've given us advance notice of what's coming up, and so that gives us an opportunity to further adjust it before it comes up in public. And we can't make adjustments right now because technically we're not supposed to be discussing it. Therefore, the public, if they wanted to be here, can't be here. Okay, that makes sense to me. Thank
Correct,
you.
and also the bylaws specifically says the amendment or repeal, there's no amendment or repeal of the bylaw or any part thereof, and to be considered at any meeting of the council unless there's notice given in advance of the proposed amendments.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, just to clarify, I wasn't requesting to make any amendments or propose any changes. I had a question, so I guess I'll save that question for another time.
Okay, thank you. Move on to the next item. Item M, revise establishing bylaw and officers nomination bylaw report, Russ M. 01/2019. The council receives report Russ M. 01/2019 dated January 21st, 2019. The council adopts a bylaw to amend the Russell and Emblem Fire Department Appointment Bylaw 2018-108. And the council adopts a bylaw to amend schedules E and F of bylaw 2018-165, being a bylaw to establish and regulate the corporation and the township of Russell Fire and Rescue Services. Questions, comments? Councilor Tarnowski?
So in the package that I got was, I don't know if it was updated today, but I can't see any changes with, where's schedules E and F that's being revised. So I didn't get that in my package.
So I believe, is it under the bylaw section?
Yes, so that was in the first package you received under bylaws. It's with the bylaw, it's the attachment to the bylaws.
Tu pourrais me le montrer après pour la prochaine fois.
So it's at number 15, all the bylaws are attached
Okay.
and they are named. And right at the beginning, it says bylaws and attachment, so they're one under the other.
Okay, newbie mistake, I apologize.
No problem.
So, other questions or comments? Anything to add from the administration? Chiefs, we're good? Okay. Item N, update water meter replacement project report ISWAT 01/2019. The council receives report ISWAT 01/2019 dated January 21st, 2019. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. So I want to give council an update on this project. We sent letters about a week and a half ago to a first phase that we called it for resident to call in to book the appointment to replace their meter. Those replacements will start next week, so on the 28th. So what we'll do when once we're going to reach about 60% of that phase that's being replaced, we'll send a letter to the next 1,000 houses. Donc de cette façon, c'est pour maximiser le temps des installateurs de ne pas se promener d'un bout à l'autre de la municipalité, puis pouvoir concentrer leur énergie là, dans une région. Donc c'est certain que parmi ces remplacements-là, il y a des nouvelles constructions. So again, we're proceeding that way to maximize the time of the people that will be doing the replacement of the meter or the counter of the meter. If the installer does have some spare time in between two installations, they'll proceed with a door-to-door. So basically, Mr. Mayor, if they're at your house replacing the meter and they got spare time, they'll go knock on the neighbor's doors to see if someone's home, just to fast track the replacement. That same process was used when the meters were originally installed about 10 years ago.
Councilor Tarnowski, Conseiller Lorrain.
Encore une fois, peut-être avec un manque d'expérience, si vous me permettez, j'ai 2 questions à poser. Premièrement, on parlait de ça qu'il y avait une garantie sur ces water meters. Je voulais juste savoir, est-ce que tous ceux qui seront remplacés sont sous garantie?
Monsieur Bourgon.
Non, merci, Monsieur le Maire. Donc, j'aurais prendre un pas arrière pour vous, Monsieur Conseiller Tarnowski. Donc, nous avons tous les compteurs, la garantie va s'appliquer. Donc, on va de l'avant en remplaçant tous les compteurs parce qu'on prend cette opportunité-là pour changer de technologie. Donc, présentement, lorsqu'on fait la lecture, on va faire ce qu'on appelle du drive-by, donc une lecture mobile. Puis, en changeant de technologie, ça va nous permettre de faire la lecture de façon instantanée à partir du bureau. Donc, si quelqu'un, donc vous vendez votre maison, vous voulez avoir une lecture pour pouvoir fermer votre compte, ça va pouvoir être fait instantanément à partir du bureau. On n'aura pas besoin d'envoyer un opérateur prendre la lecture du compteur. Donc, dans le fond, oui, la garantie s'applique pour tous les compteurs. Puis, la municipalité, là, on se trouve à payer la différence pour changer de technologie.
Ça, c'est le 660 000, c'est ça?
Exactement.
Merci.
Councilor Lorrain?
Yeah, kind of on the same line, but I think there was, what about, I think you had said at 1.70% of them that weren't working. So now we're replacing those 70%, and then we're also going to replace the other 30% that are working to get to the new technology. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct, Councilor.
And the 30%, and I'm just throwing a number out, the 30% is what's making up to 660,000?
Monsieur Bacon?
So what the township will have to, so the 660,000, it's a difference between what the warranty is covering to do the switch to the new technology.
Okay. And
And the installation of the antenna and the software for the new to support the new technology.
okay. And have we been told how long these meters are actually going to last?
They have, at this time, they have a similar warranty, 10-year, and what they're telling us, it should last about 20. But I would say, like, in a good asset management perspective, we'll have to put a program in place to do some replacement.
I'm just concerned that they're, with the fact that 70% of them broke down in the first 10 years of them being available, we lost a significant amount of money, in my opinion, in terms of water usage. Because we had to go by, previous usage versus actual usage. And then we actually get billed by the city of Ottawa for actual water that came in. So I just wanna, was there any provisions in there to make up for that cost?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bacon?
There's still some negotiation on some costs like antenna or those type of things with the company at this time, so won't be in a position to tell more, but we're still negotiating some elements.
Of the contract.
Okay.
Councilor Tanowski?
So, Councilor Lorrain, some people are paying more because our kids are gone, so some of us are paying more. Is there anything for us, poor people, that are paying more?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon?
I get, like, it's hard to have the perfect answer, because we'll have to see too as well, like case by case basis. But the way we're planning to do our billing, it's really, let's say your meter's getting replaced on February 1st. Well, the first portion of the billing period will be estimate, and you'll have some actual for the remaining of the billing period.
So we'll be able to compare if there's an extensive difference in the two. Conseiller Brisson?
Ces nouveaux compteurs-là, est-ce qu'ils ont commencé à être installés dans les nouvelles installations, comme les nouvelles constructions, ou si c'est dans les nouvelles constructions comme c'est là, il faut qu'ils soient changés tout aussi?
Monsieur Bacon?
Donc, nous, aussitôt que nous avons reçu les nouveaux compteurs, on a commencé à donner les nouveaux compteurs pour les nouvelles constructions, mais il y avait un certain nombre qui avait déjà été distribué pour les permis de construction qui avaient déjà été attribués. Donc, on va travailler avec les officiers en construction pour lorsqu'ils font un occupancy de ces maisons-là, on va faire le changement immédiatement. Donc, pour le certain nombre, là, comme ça qu'on demande.
Mais aussitôt qu'on les a reçus, on les a partagés.
Exactement. Donc, maintenant, n'importe nouvelle construction qui vient chercher un permis présentement ont un nouveau compteur en leur main.
C'est ça, comme depuis un petit bout, comme c'est là, qu'ils ont des nouveaux qui ne marchent pas, mais qui sont installés parce que la technologie, vous n'êtes pas installé encore, mais qu'il y avait des nouveaux compteurs installés, que là, ils vont partir avec. C'est ça.
Monsieur Leduc?
Monsieur le maire, je conseille pas la question de M. Brisson. On a fait un post sur Facebook, une vidéo qui démontre qu'est-ce qu'on fait. Donc, c'est justement enlever la tête puis on remplace la tête. Donc, on n'enlève pas tout le milieu complet, c'est juste cette partie-là.
Conseiller Lorrain?
Yeah, just I guess when you're talking about, you're putting the one installation in, which I'm assuming they made an appointment to have it done, and they're gonna go to the next house if they have any additional time, is to ensure that there's extreme amount of identification on the people that are there. I mean, we see it in the newspaper all the time, you know, I just see one this morning for, you know, somebody got scammed for $700,000. They're not gonna open the doors for somebody unless it's truly identifiable, and, you know, if they need to call somebody, that somebody is readily available to validate that that's the case.
Monsieur Bourgon?
To add to your comment, Conseiller Lorrain, so the third party is gonna do some installation for us. We'll have some proper ID stating that they're working on the behalf of the township.
And there's contact information.
And there's
from the-
contact info as well that can support or can validate the identification of those individuals.
Maybe a video would make sense of showing the ID.
We can look at doing that as well. Conseiller Brisson, quelque chose à ajouter? No? C'est bon? Anything else to add? No? Monsieur Bourgon? C'est bon? Okay. Item 12, notice of motion.
I was just gonna ask, are you gonna use our electronic board for that, to publicize the meetings?
Yeah, it's a communication tool definitely we can use. Madame Camille Laflamme, notice of motion.
So we have it on the board for everyone, so I'll read what we received today. So it's a notice of motion, the title is Capital Conversion Principles, and it's moved by Mayor Pierre Leroux and seconded by Councillor Mike Ternowski. Whereas the capital charges bylaw was presented to council in June 2018, and whereas many residents voiced their wish to never connect to the municipal system, and whereas many residents also have voiced concerns of having to pay infrastructure costs associated with the project moving forward that they will not be connected to, and whereas Councillor Ternowski and Mayor Leroux feel that having unwanted costs imposed on residents could cause undue hardships, therefore be it resolved that council adopt the guiding principles attached to this notice of motion, and furthermore be it resolved the township will not hold any specific amounts of units for existing properties as they are considered growth units. We also have the guiding principles. Do you want me to go ahead and read them? So the first one, no residential property currently on private services in our village cores should be forced to connect to municipal services unless directed to do so by a governing body due to, but not limited to, environmental concerns. Number two, projects involving multiple properties connecting to municipal water and or wastewater system should ideally require 100% participation by all affected residents in the serviceable area. Number three, if 100% participation is not achieved, some properties do not wish to connect to the system, their share of any infrastructure costs would be divided up by the remaining properties wishing to move forward. And it says, see examples attached. We have copies attached. Number four, should a property in the affected area which did not pay its share of infrastructure costs decide to connect in the future, the property owners will pay costs as per the formula provided, plus the cost of indexing to the township. The township will then reimburse the property owners of the addressees that initially paid for the project, not necessarily those who paid, but whoever is the owner of the property at that point in time, the original difference. The township will keep the indexing difference in order to help with the maintenance operations of the water, wastewater services. And this is the example that was mentioned earlier.
Thank you very much, Madame Camille Laflamme. So this is notice motion. It'll be part of the agenda in 2 weeks and will be discussed at that point in time.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Lorrain?
Can that be emailed to us so we can see all those items? Because it wasn't in the agenda.
Conseiller Associé?
Yes, and also will, all the affected homeowners be notified of this, or, if we were, we were still discussing having a meeting, a public meeting.
Well, this is a notice motion. We can email it to all the homeowners if they wish, but it will be part of our regular agenda package as well.
Okay.
Councillor Tarnowski?
If I may, Councillor Saucier, I think that this doesn't preclude us having a consultation process. This is just kind of a guiding principle in moving forward. Like, there's still, the capital charges is not being discussed here or anything else. That's still something that has to be addressed. What we're trying to do with this this concept is really to just kind of give peace of mind to the residents that nobody's gonna be forced to sign into anything that they don't want to.
But
That
that'll
includes
be-
the infrastructure and everything else.
That'll be part of the discussion in 2 weeks' time. Okay,
So,
merci. Item 13, question period on meeting of the day. I'll ask anyone to please come up to the lectern, state your name and address for the record, and your question.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Members of Council, Charles Armstrong, Castleville Street in Everett. 2 questions. The first one is on item 11E, that's the pay list. And it's on, actually on the first page, under general operations. There are several refunds for sewer connections. What are they?
Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Ledin, correct me if I'm wrong, that would be in regards to the McDougal project, where essentially it was a certain amount of houses that connected to the system, and then there was a lot that was divided. So there was the creation of a new lot, and they paid their share of that connection fee, which was sent back to the remaining owners. Is that correct, Mr. Vedek?
yes, that's right.
So eventually, so we'll say on McDougal Street, it was $100,000 each.
Mhm.
Then an 11th one was created. That $100,000 payment was split between the remaining owners to lower the cost, because if they had been part of the original project, then everybody's cost would have been lower.
So we can see this carrying on for some time yet as we see lots divided?
I think, well, in this area, I don't think there was many lots to be divided, but when a project moves forward, that is one possibility, yes.
Okay. My next question actually has to do with the procedural bylaw, but bear with me on this one because it actually has an immediate, the question has immediate impact as well. Under the declaration of interest, both in the new and in the old bylaw, it indicates that if somebody has a pecuniary interest, they essentially have to step away from the discussion.
If they declare it.
If they declare it. But if there is, they're supposed to,
That's up
in
to
the
the
bylaw.
individual member of council,
Yes.
yes.
The question is, how do you define a pecuniary interest so that council can in fact discuss the budget on Thursday and Friday because all members of council have a pecuniary interest? How does that work out? So every one of you have a direct pecuniary interest in the budget.
In what sense?
Because it'll eventually set whatever property taxes you will pay.
Correct. But I believe in the Municipal Act, and in the, I'm not sure in the Conflict of Interest Act, it clearly makes, it clearly defines what a pecuniary interest is and is not applicable to items where it would have a general impact to all of taxation.
Okay,
I don't know the clause off the top of my head, Monsieur Le Duc. No, but there is a clause in the Conflict of Interest Act specifically addressing that situation.
Then I will be making a comment that should be reflected explicitly in the procedural bylaw as well.
In 2 weeks. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Move on to item 14, resolutions. Motion that council approve all recommendations listed on the agenda under item 11, reports from departments and council committees. We'll put on the table, and then we have one item to remove, I believe. So I need a mover and seconder, put on the table. Moved by Councilor Bisson, seconded by Councilor Karnowski. Removing item H. I need a mover and seconder to remove item H. Councilor Lorraine, Councilor Brisson. All those in favor of removing item H? Okay, we're now voting on everything except item H. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. We'll now go to item H individually. This was the amendment to the traffic and parking report PIC 04/2019. This was to have the discussion in regards to Broadway Street. We mentioned if we wanted to defer this to the next meeting. If so, I need an amendment moved and seconded. Would somebody like to move? So moved by Councillor Associate to defer this to the next meeting of council on February 4th, seconded by Conseiller Lorrain. All those in favor of deferring it? All those opposed? Carried, so this will be deferred to the next meeting. So item 15, a motion that council approves bylaws 2019-005 to 2019-012 exclusively for first, second, and third reading listed in agenda. Mais on va être obligé de sortir ce bylaw-là. Spécifiquement, c'est quel numéro ça?
009.
009. So I need a mover and a seconder to put on the table. Moved by Conseiller Brisson, seconded by Councillor Ternowski. Now I need a mover and a seconder to remove 009. Moved by Conseiller Lorrain, seconded by Conseiller Associé. All those in favor of removing number 9? Okay. We'll vote on everything else. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. Move on, item 16, new business reports, we have none. Item 17, other business, council.
On a voté sur les amendements, on a voté pour accepter qu'on a retiré 9.
Puis on a voté pour approuver toutes les autres.
So do you wanna just say the other one is deferred as well, by itself?
Il est pas mis sur la table, il est juste en gris parce qu'on l'a déferré.
Okay, I'll note that it was deferred
It
with
was
the
deferred
report and
with the
the
resolution.
resolution.
Other business, Councillor Ternowski, first item was for the sign bylaw.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I had a great discussion with Millie earlier on pertaining to the sign bylaw and more specifically to the temporary sign bylaw. And so what I'd like to with the goal of, I guess what I'd like to talk about is with the goal of reducing some bureaucracy in the process, to look at getting approval for, and again, there's going to be with recommendations from Millie to go back and look at it, but to somehow look at a way that we can reduce this bureaucracy by moving away from that 30-day temporary sign bylaw to more of a 1 year. So you sign up for a year for a temporary sign, temporary meaning that it's gone at the end of the day, at your business day, you put it inside. So something like that where you get approved for a sign. Once that sign is approved, then you can use that sign temporarily for a year, and it'd be always in the control of the township as to if the sign meets the requirements as a temporary sign. So whether it's in any dangers, where it's going to be located, and so on. Key being that it's temporary in the sense that it's removed at the end of the day. So the approval, the idea would be to have the approval for a sign type and its location to ensure safety and security. Temporary signs should be evaluated on being temporary, meaning that they're brought out of the business, within the business, and put away every night. So not based on necessarily size or type of the sign. So as long as it's movable. An example would be like an inflatable sign that may be a little bit bigger than what's permitted right now, but if township feels that it's fine and meets the safety requirements and everything else, that something like that be allowed. So the goal again here that I'd like to kind of proceed with is to request Millie and her team to evaluate the temporary sign bylaw, to come up with maybe a proposition that will reduce the number of applications for a temporary sign to something more than 30 days and will allow for more types of temporary signs as long as they're put away each night.
Okay, thank you very much. So currently, my understanding is A-frames you're allowed to bring in and out without a permit, correct? But flags don't fall under that category. Inflatable, UAPs aren't included. So you're asking for the administration, if council wishes, to look at those possibilities to be added to that. Is council okay with asking the administration to look at that? Seem to have a direction, so Monsieur Leduc, Madame Bordeaux, if you can have a look at that and see if there's a possibility or solution that can be brought forward. Okay?
That's it.
17B, Councillor Tonoski for Boundary Road.
All right, so there was in our correspondence, there was some issues where a resident of Russell was concerned about the traffic with the Amazon build. So I realize that the land is in Ottawa and that it's an Ottawa issue, but we do have a tremendous amount of residents that go through Boundary Road every day. And so in that particular letter, it was you can contact so-and-so, but I think with the Amazon depot opening up soon, I think it's a responsibility of ours to make sure that we demonstrate to our residents that we're looking at that. So whether we have that information available on our website or something like that to see what kind of impacts they can expect and what's being done or not done, for that matter, by the city of Ottawa. So really nothing more than just a better kind of communication with our residents to alleviate some concerns of not knowing what's going on.
Thank you, Councillor Tonoski. Monsieur Leduc, Monsieur Bourgon, do we have what the planned intersection area will look like, or a timeline as far as the work will be done? I believe the email that the residents sent to us contacted directly somebody from Ottawa, but as far as I know, there hasn't been any response. I'm just wondering from our end if we have any of that information.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We know that there's going to be a widening of the road from the interchange to Mitchowan. That includes turning lanes, but the specific plans of the work we don't have in hand. And as well, we're not sure exactly the improvement that needs to be done at the interchange itself, but we know there's a road widening required for that full area.
So can we reach out to our City of Ottawa contacts? I can reach out on the political side as well, see if they're able to provide something that we can put on our social media pages, on our website and our app and stuff, just to make our residents aware what to anticipate in the coming future. And perhaps, Madame Tremblay, from a planning perspective, that would have been part of the whole process for Amazon, the site plan, and perhaps some of your planning contacts could provide us with what was presented as well. Okay. Councillor Sosi?
Yeah, and I just want to remind everyone that it's not just Amazon, because the dump is going to be going in at Divine Road and Boundary. And I'm on the communication liaison committee for that. And we've been deferred till May before we have any more meetings. So there's nothing to report at this time, but I mean, they're gonna have to have trucks going into that location also. And also, and I'm not sure about this, but I've also heard that there's another thing going in at Mitch Owens and Boundary, and another 60-bay building. So that's another quite substantial amount of transportation on that road. So yes, it's definitely going to affect our residents that commute every day.
Thank you very much. Last discussion I had with Councillor Blair months and months ago when this started, there's approximately, from what he told me, between $3 and $5 million worth of road work that has to be done for that whole, intersection with Amazon and Tiger Miller and so forth. So there's definitely going to be some work, but we'll try and get the information so we can share with the general public. Conseiller Brisson?
Je pense que c'est une très bonne idée pour pouvoir partager c'est quoi les plans sont pour le chemin et tout ça, que s'il y a des commentaires qui peuvent être envoyés. Faut pas oublier aussi que rappeler aux résidents que le trafic qu'il y a comme c'est là d'Amazon n'est pas le même que les quais fonctionnels, parce que comme c'est là, c'est avec la construction. Ça va-tu en faire plus, ça va-tu en faire moins, ça va être différent. Parce que comme c'est là, c'est des choses de construction. Fait que oui, c'est sûr que l'étude doit avoir été faite pour la chose de trafic. Sauf que s'il y a cette chose-là, que personne.
Oui. All I can say is, thankfully, it's not as bad as Toronto. We're not at that stage yet. Monsieur Leduc.
So to be clear, you're looking for us to just provide and share the information we have. Going a step further, M. Gusson suggests that tell our residents about is not our business. So I'm waiting to stop where we can share the information, but to go and say in the future it's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's not our job, it's Ottawa's job to do that thing.
That's correct. We provide the information that Ottawa will share with us as far as what the plans, the timeline, that sort of information.
I just don't want to start editing Ottawa's comments and,
No.
and those kind of things,
No.
because
And
they'll say,
it-
step in your court, that's your court,
Well, that's
we'll
it.
manage ours, you know?
Exactly.
So-
I don't think we'd like Ottawa coming and telling us what to do in our backyard, so we won't be saying, what to do in their backyard. And I believe, from the planning perspective, this has already been approved, the traffic has already been approved, public consultation has been done. There's no more, comment period that we can add to this list.
Yeah, so just to be clear, it's just a communication piece to make some people either, you know, understand what's gonna happen or feel a little more at ease about it. So it's not trying to change anything at all. So if we have any pull to get a little more information that's available, but like everyone said, there's studies that have been done and everything, it's just a question of sharing that information with our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 18, public meetings, we have none. Item 19, closed session. Pursuant to section 239, 2, 3, and 3.1 of Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25. Motion to move into closed meeting at the hour of 8:04 PM to address matters pertaining to section 239 Municipal Act 2001, SO 2001, Chapter 25, consider matters relating to: 1, purchase of land in the industrial park under section 2C, a proposal pending acquisition or disposition land by the municipality or local board. Item 2, sale of water treatment plant, section 2C, a proposal pending acquisition or disposition land by the municipality or local board. And 3, update on the lease for the future paramedic station under section 2C, a proposal pending acquisition and disposition land by the municipality or local board. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councilor Bisson, seconded by Councilor Tonoski. All those in favor? All those opposed? Carried. We'll be back at 8:15. Take a bio break. Thank you.